Hi, this is Ryan Phillips here. I just did the whole video, and then for some reason I had a problem, not with like anything with YouTube or anything with copyright. Just the program had a problem saving the video for some reason, so it's kind of frustrating. It was a pretty good video. Anyway, that no problem. Just start over. Nothing else I could do at this point. Anyway, I played Vivian Liu. I had the white pieces, and I think Vivian is playing fantastic chess. She's definitely improved quite a bit in the past 6 months to a year or so, and I think she's just going to continue to improve. It was a tough draw. I kind of played. I probably played way too passive in opening. Just trying to experiment with different things. Hopefully that's kind of been a theme in my videos. Trying to improve like a lot of different areas of my chess game. So I'm not surprised that my short-term results are suffering a little bit. But yeah, I think my future is real bright. I think I have a pretty big room for improvement. I could feel it coming on. So I think a few months from now I'm going to be significantly stronger than I am now. Anyway, so just show the game. So I start off with a Sicilian, just e4, c5. And then I deviated immediately with a move I've never played before. I decided to go with the c3 Sicilian. So Enrico Saviano plays his opening a lot, and I never played it before, so I figured what the hell, give it a try. I've been reading some interviews. I read an interview with Grandmaster Nakamura, and I was just saying that the strongest players in the world, the reason why a lot of them are so good is because they're real familiar with the piece placement, like where your pieces belong in lots of different openings. And he basically said the better to get at that, that's kind of how the strong GMs get as strong as they do. He's really complimenting Carlsen a lot. He said that he basically knows where his pieces belong on all kinds of basically every opening because he plays so many different openings, kind of just like Nakamura does. And just kind of commenting how on the top levels of chess, you can't really play the same openings anymore with computer analysis and stuff like that. So I figured, I'm not worried about that at all. But I just figured that it couldn't hurt to try to play some different openings. And I know a lot of people are, when it's a rated tournament game, they don't like to kind of experiment. They think that's more for Skittles games and stuff like that. But I kind of feel I feel the opposite. Obviously, if your rating is very important to you, I can understand that philosophy. But I think my rating is becoming kind of less and less important to me. I don't know. I guess I'm trying not to use that so much as the sole barometer of like my chess strength. I think that if you try to experiment with different openings and not so serious games, you're not going to get the full experience. But if you experience with if you experience with different openings in serious games, then and long games especially, then yeah, you're definitely going to kind of absorb more of where your pieces belong and kind of the intricacies of the opening. And then if you play different openings against super strong players, they're really going to show you. And the idea is though that the idea isn't to get punished by playing a different opening every time you play it. The idea is that you kind of get familiar with where your pieces belong, so I can play different openings against really strong players and not get blown off the board because I have a good feel for different types of games. But anyway, try not to talk too long. Vivian played knight f6 here, which is the most common move. For some reason though, I was not expecting her to play knight f6 at all. I thought she might adapt the setup like e6 and d5, or just play d5 immediately. Even though knight f6 is the most common, I wasn't expecting her to play this for some reason, so it threw me off a little bit here already. So now I have two choices between e5 and d3, and then I don't know the main lines to this, so I guess kind of contradicting myself a little bit from what I just said, but I was a little scared to play e5. Maybe this would have been to test my own theory. It would have validated if I play e5 and kind of push myself into against these kind of variations. I don't know. I never really liked. I don't know. I'm not like a big fan of the pawn center with c3, d4, e5. In some variations I am, but here I didn't. I don't think it's. I don't really see black getting or white getting too much in a lot of these games. I thought, and I just wasn't too familiar with the theory here, and I don't know. For some reason, I wasn't feeling like playing a ultra sharp game. I don't know why. Just wasn't feeling like playing a game like that. And maybe I've been kind of inspired by Carlsen with his slow build-ups and just not really even striving for an advantage in the opening, just trying to get his pieces onto good squares and then fight for the advantage in the middle game. So I'm going to play d3 here, which I think will probably surprise a lot of people. It's definitely not a move that's typically in my style. But I don't know, just the way I was kind of feeling and wanting to experiment a little bit. I thought d3 was good, trying to avoid main lines at all costs. But really, I guess I'm just kind of transposing into a King's Indian type position. Really, after d3, the only question what I'm gonna do with this light square bishop, e2 or g2, and then what I'm gonna do with this f pawn. If I'm gonna leave it alone and play knight f3, or if I'm gonna play f4. And I guess I even have the idea of playing this knight to e2 and the bishop to g2. So kind of playing in the style of Glenn Badari. Glenn's really had a big impact, a huge impact on the club. I walked around last night, and probably of all the games, there's about 4 close Sicilians. So his impact has been huge. Everyone is really playing the close Sicilian, and playing the Sicilian myself. It's pretty foolish to not study the black side of the close Sicilian. And then I think a good way of studying the black side is by playing it once as white. So in that regard, I really regret playing c3. I kind of wish I played it exactly like Glenn does with knight c3, knight g to e2, and g3, and bishop g2, just to kind of see how I feel, what the ideas for white are. So I think that there's nothing really that gives you a better chance to learn than how to face an opening than by playing the other side of it and be like, oh, I really don't feel very comfortable about this move or that move, and you can figure out how to make life difficult on your opponent next time you play him with the others, with the black pieces instead of the white pieces. So Vivian played knight c6, just stopping me from playing e5, so a very logical move. And then I have this choice between knight f3, f4, and then probably not so often played g3 here. So I have some choices. I went with f4. So I made basically 4 pawn moves to start the game, which kind of seems like beginner chess to me. So yeah, I think my opening was a big experiment, was disappointment. I don't really see myself. I won't discount playing the c3 Sicilian again, but I don't think I'm gonna play this move over with d3. And if I want to play the King's Indian attack, I think there's better move orders to reach it than the way I played it. So I didn't do anything like particularly terrible in the opening, but it's just kind of a bland opening in my opinion. I wasn't really too happy with my game already. So I'm planning to play d6, and then I didn't consider anything besides knight f3. Here showing bishop e2, which I guess is playable, but I already kind of decided I'm going to put my bishop on the h1 a8 diagonal. So I just continue with knight f3, and then g6 is the main move here. Just fan-countering the bishop and putting it on the long diagonal as well. But I'm Vivian with e6, which is a more solid setup, I'd say, but it's not as aggressive as g6, but it's a perfectly fine setup. Her center is fantastic with the knight on c6 and f6 and the pawns on e6, d6, and c5. This is a super strong center for black. So it's kind of hard for white to figure out what to do. So I could play g3 immediately and play bishop g2, but I figured I'd develop my knight b to d2 first. Kind of have some ideas of knight c4 at some point. Maybe we need to prepare that first with a4, stop the b5 advance. So then Vivian played bishop e7, and then I wanted to play knight c4 here possibly already, but I thought after b5 this wouldn't be too good, or even computer showing d5 is fine. So I thought knight c4 is premature here. So I'll just play g3. Idea of putting the bishop on g2 and getting castled. So Vivian, after this move, played bishop d7. I thought it was slightly slow. I thought just castling first was alright. Again, I think this opening experiment was a total disaster. Let's be able to get all the 4 pieces developed. Bishops protecting the knights, which are protecting the center, and the pawns are protecting the center. So already I'm kicking myself a little bit because I realize I'm not going to be able to get too much out of the opening. But again, this is kind of the style I asked for, playing this way, so I figured, well, I don't have anything at the opening, but hopefully by the middle game I could start outplaying my opponent. But I thought Vivian did a good job to kind of hold the balance the whole game. So bishop g2, castle, logical move. And then computer likes castle, but I decided to play a4 first. So pretty typical King's Indian attack idea, just play the knight to c4. So all pretty standard stuff. And then Vivian plays a6. And then now the knight jumps into c4. And then we kind of played a forcing variation, but the computer showing me it wasn't as forcing as I thought. Because after b5, I missed this move, which is a solid move. I missed knight takes d6, which is I don't know. maybe just a sign that it was not my best day. But I feel like I played good chess, and I don't want to take anything away from Vivian's play. I thought she played very well. Um, but yeah, I think this is a move that I might see. I should see, I should say, and I don't know, just something I missed, which I shouldn't have. Although I mean, not that it's not saying it's anything great though. Anyway, I mean, it's just I just saw material equality and Black's position still fine. It's totally an equal game, but it's just something that I should at least consider. Even if I reject it as not being that great, I should not miss that move. So I kind of played the forcing variation, and yeah, I was trying to play quicker, so maybe I don't think I missed too much, but I do want to try to be able to play faster and not miss anything. Kind of play at my same level but faster. I think that's kind of an obviously noble goal and important. Time becomes a big factor. Even these long games, when you think you have all the time in the world, you start to realize as you play a lot of chess that you don't. This 2 hours and 40 moves, it goes by quick, and then a game an hour, 100 minutes goes by fast as well. Obviously faster than 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I'm trying to pick up my pace a little bit. Nothing drastic. I don't think I have like a huge time management problem, but there's some moves where I think longer than I should. I think if I kind of stop the moves where I'm thinking for over 10 minutes, which is probably, I don't know, if I had to quantify maybe one every 12, 13 moves, if I could cut down on those, I think all my other moves that I make is usually a pretty reasonable time. So anyway, rook takes a8, queen takes a8, knight b6. And then Vivian and I had kind of a little bit of a post-mortem after the game, and we looked at this position for a little bit. I think Vivian found an excellent move with queen a8, so I thought this was the best move in the position. Keeping the a file, putting the queen on the active post, putting the c pawn to the king for the moment, and then having a clear plan with like b4 and just putting pressure on the white position. So take, castle, and then Vivian started coming with a nice plan with b4, central, attacking on the wing, and maybe loosening my center at some point. So I played bishop d2, and then she played bishop f6, which the computer showed me is the best move. I actually didn't like this move too much. I was trying to make e5 work, but I couldn't make it work, unfortunately. So something like this I was analyzing. I was really fixated on this idea of attacking the bishop and then this knight at the same time with the move like e5 once the knight moved. So I was hoping that this would work, but I didn't see anything. So yeah, I mean I don't have too much here. So yeah, I think this is just this is winning for black. So I couldn't make the e5 idea work even though I really wanted to. So unfortunately that move didn't work for me. So I was considering queen a1 for a while. But there's something I didn't like after. I thought rook a8. I thought rook a8 was better than it was. So I guess this d4 move is a very good move. So at least like breaking up white's or black's pawn center at least. So I looked at queen a1, but I kind of underestimated the strengths of it. But at least I analyzed it. I think it's a good it's a solid move that I'm at least looking at that and at a good sign. But I rejected it for queen c2. And then I was trying to improve my chess vision. I was thinking maybe there's some possibility for a mate on h7 at some point. But I mean, highly unlikely, obviously. But I think that's kind of what a good tactician does. Starts to see if these patterns are, if they can find something like well before it actually occurs. So I'm already thinking with the queen on c2, maybe I have an h7 mate ideas at some point if I could dislodge the bishop and get a knight to g5 or something, and have some cool tactics, maybe pushing the pawns. But nothing like that ever materialized. So I think Vivian made a kind of mistake here. She released attention too soon with b takes c3. I thought rook b8 was an obvious move in computer recommendation. I was kind of surprised that I was surprised she didn't play that a little bit. I think she'll learn though. Moving the tension was good for white. I thought just making my job a little bit easier. then I don't have to worry about the defense of the c pawn as much, and I have the c4 push idea. Um, and then the rook can kind of get in the game a little bit better for white. So I've only played rook b8 here, which is a good move. And then, so yeah, again, I was pretty fixated on this idea of hitting the bishop with e5 and the knight at the same time. But the problem is I don't have anywhere good to move the knight. I mean, if I move it to g5 or h4, that threat will never work because the bishop could just take if necessary. So basically, the only good square, or the only, I guess good square is the wrong word, the only square I could move the knight to would be e1. And this knight's doing absolutely nothing from here. It can't even go anywhere really at the moment, just back to f3. So I thought I would kind of play for a cheapo at h3. So even though it's a cheap move, I thought that it had some merit because I could at least swing the knight to h2 and g4. And then after moving the knight to h2, I have this nice idea with e5. So that was basically the idea. So even though it's a kind of a cheapo move, it does have some positional merit. And then I also have the idea of g4, g5 maybe. But I really didn't even need to, I didn't need to play h3 in the first place if I wanted to play g4, g5. So yeah, it was kind of a cheapo, but nothing too, it was a sound move though still. So it wasn't like a cheapo based on a poor move. And Vivian surprised me very much with queen b6. I guess she shouldn't have surprised me that much. It's a very logical move. Basically just hitting the, controlling the b file even better, putting the rook in the, putting the queen and the rook on the b file. And then unfortunately missed that the queen is on the a7 g1 diagonal as the king, which is pretty bad. So yeah, so I really don't know. So I totally missed c4, which is very disappointing, and I played a very inaccurate move here, which probably could have cost me the game. So I played knight h2, trying to just to fixate on the idea of this cheapo at e5, and this is probably a losing move or close to it. The idea is after c4, d4 is terrible because bishop takes d4, and then if I take back, this just loses to knight takes d4. So the idea is this hitting the queen right now, and then the idea of discovery with knight e2, and then knight takes g3 mate. So knight e2 is a double check, so the king has to move, and then knight takes g3 would just end the game. So after c4, I'd have to play king h1. And then here there's not even really too much analysis necessary. I mean, the computer showing like queen b3, but even a move like c takes d3 gives black a solid advantage. The pawn structure for white's not very good. The c pawn is weak. So, I mean, yeah, life is pretty easy, I think, for black in this position. So luckily, Vivian missed that move. I think maybe it's like psychology. Basically just thinking that she has black against like a higher rated player. So maybe just thinking that she's just trying to draw the game would be a good result and not even looking for winning chances. But something tells me like 3 months from now she'll start realizing that everyone that she plays against isn't that great, and that she won't miss moves like this. She'll be thinking like, how do I get a win in any position with any color? Just playing the position, not really the opponent. Because I think c4 is a pretty easy move to spot. I'm sure she wouldn't miss a move like that again. But I'm thinking maybe after c4 she missed that d4 is losing for white. She probably thought d4 was a good move, so maybe she missed that. So anyway, she played queen b2, and then after this move, I thought I was going to win. To be perfectly honest, I was pretty confident. So I think I have the idea of e5 possibly at some point, and so I just felt real good about my position after this move, even though it's objectively pretty equal. So rook takes b2, and then I could play rook d1 here, which I observed was probably the best move, but I think I got a little impatient here. And I wanted to make my idea work so bad, so I just went with e5. And I think the computer net evaluation immediately shows it as being a slight inaccuracy, but the longer you run the computer, it probably wasn't as good as rook d1, but the longer you run the computer, I think the more it shows that that it was a pretty okay move. So yeah, so I figured I'd just keep kind of progress with the e5 idea. And I think the impure analysis was dropping the first time I made this video. So I guess this time it's staying at this minus 0.32. So definitely a small inaccuracy, but nothing too devastating. So take, and then a computer finds this good move, d takes e5, which I don't think this is a very human move. I can't imagine too many humans outside of extremely strong players would play this move. But maybe I'm underestimating my opposition. But I can't see too many people playing d takes e5, dropping this piece. So, I don't know, it's interesting. It's an interesting line. So it's rook a8, check. So anyway, so when rook takes d2, bishop takes c6, and then she played this is what I calculated in my head. I thought she would play knight b8. And then now I have this slight advantage. Computer showing this bishop e8 move, which I don't think I would have found this move, and it would have been very difficult to find this. But the computer keeps showing this as being a good move. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. It would have been hard to find. So bishop e8, and then maybe knight to g5, and then if the bishop takes on g5, I have the rook hitting the f7 square after I recapture, which black can't really do too much about. So anyway, so after knight b8, I play knight f3. So the idea after rook takes d3, actually computer showing bishop b5, which I missed, but I was planning on playing bishop e4, and after rook to e3, rook b1, knight d7, bishop c6, and then again the piece sacrifice computer showing is good, which I didn't think this was as I thought. I mean I observed the piece sacrifice. I felt that black was getting some play, but I thought that white would have to be better here, which they clearly are shows. So anyway, so after this move, Vivian thought she couldn't play here, and I was really expecting her to play rook b2 to guard the knight and take control of the b file, but she played rook a2, which I thought was a significant mistake to give me control of the b file. And again, the computer is showing the bishop e8 move, which I would not have found in a. I guess I shouldn't underestimate myself. Hopefully someday I'll be able to find a move like this, but I did not see this move in this position at all. This is a really beautiful move hitting this square. I guess basically the point is after a move like bishop e7, just rook b1 is good, but also knight d5 knight g5 is fun also, and then the f7 pawn is falling. So it's pretty cool. What else did I see? Oh, there's also a cool line here I saw in the last video after king f8. I was curious about. Just take here is going to promote to a new queen. So no way for white to get back to the g8 square. So Vivian played, or never mind, it's my move. I'm sorry. I played bishop b5 here. So I did play bishop c4 after rook b1, and then I guess Vivian can play rook b2 here. In which case I was planning on playing c4, I believe, or even taking the bishop is an option, but probably c4 is what I would have played. So after bishop b5, Vivian surprised me a little bit on her, not this move, but the following move. So take, and then she played bishop d8. When I was fully expecting bishop e7, but she played the better move, bishop d8. I just put the bishop on c7 and had the e pawn. So I played rook b1. She played bishop c7, and then I played bishop c4. So now my threat is to play the rook to b7, and then the bishop can't protect the knight anymore. So one of the pieces is going to be lost, Knight a6 doesn't work obviously because I just take the piece with the bishop on a6 and then capture the knight, other bishop, capture the dark bishop on c7. So Vivian's basically forced to play rook a7 to stop that, and then I just forge ahead with d4, take, and then she kind of played a slow move here. I thought with h6, so maybe too scared about the back rank mates. I don't think she needs to be too scared about that yet. So I kind of just kept going with d5. So e takes, bishop takes, and then king f8, I guess, to get out of the pin. And then I wanted to play e6 here, but then my g pawn's going to be hanging. So I decided to protect that with king g2. And then the bishop on d5 is a nice defensive piece, as well as has some decent offensive prospects covering the a2 square. So that kind of worked out well for me. And that was also nice because it's a kind of a tough piece to ever attack. You know, if you see something like rook a5, I think I could even play. This. And then, oh, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think at least this isn't showing the best score for white, but I thought this was probably good enough to hold a draw, I believe. So anyway, Vivian played knight d7, and then I continued with e6. And at this point, I wanted to offer a draw because I thought really no side could make too much progress. But I figured with the opposite color bishops, with some other pieces on the board, it actually could be an attacking piece. So I figured it wouldn't hurt to play on here. So f takes e6, bishop takes, and then yeah, I think an asking move like knight c5 is good for Vivian hanging the bishop, or knight b6 I thought would have been good, but she played knight f6, which I thought was quite passive. So I have some chances to play for maybe a small advantage. So I just played knight d4, trying to get the knight to f5 and kind of create a mating net on the king with the knight hitting on e7, the bishop taking away the diagonal. So I thought I was playing at least somewhat creatively, and trying to create threats in a position where that's pretty much dead even. Unfortunately, I don't really have the threat of knight b5 because of rook b7 pinning the knight to my rook. If the rook was on c1 already, for example, then a move like knight b5 would be devastating, at least winning the exchange. But with the rook on b1, I have to worry about it getting pinned, unfortunately. So in this position, Vivian played rook a3, and then I kind of played maybe too aggressively here, but I thought I could kind of get away with it, so I tried knight f5, and then g6, and then I was torn between rook b7 and rook c1 for just like a minute, but I figured rook c1 was far superior. I thought rook b7 just allowed rook c3, which I didn't think would be too good. I mean, it just looks like the rook is very active in covering the bishop. So I figured I'll take the c file, and if Vivian wanted to play like a move like rook a7, then I don't have to worry about the g3 square anymore, and I can just win the h pawn. So I thought Vivian would play knight e8 here. I was pretty surprised she didn't. She played g takes f5, and then I played rook takes c7, and then so I think I have a small advantage here. So knight h5, rook f7, king e8, rook takes f5, and then I guess I was impressed with Vivian's endgame knowledge. Basically, she realized she could run the king to the corner in the endgame, like a king and pawn endgame, even if I had a bishop on her, because dark square bishop and light square bishop and dark square, I can't make any progress. The king will just shove between g8, h8, and h7. There's nothing I could do. So that's why Vivian was able to take here, which I thought maybe she would not do that because she wouldn't have realized that endgame was totally drawn, but she did. So king h2, and then rook g5, and then Rivka's saying I can continue with like rook f3, rook f2, rook f1, but I didn't really see the point with that. So I just basically kind of traded into the draw endgame here. So king e7, rook takes, h takes g5, bishop takes h5, and then yeah, this is just totally drawn here. So king f6, king g3, king g7, king g4, and then Vivian played king h8 here, and then once I realized that she understood the drawing pattern, I offered her a draw here, which she obviously quickly accepted. So yeah, I thought Vivian played a great game. I think the opening experiment was interesting for me. Obviously, even when I do an opening experiment, I still like to win the game, which didn't happen here. But I feel like I learned a little bit. D3 is too passive. I don't think that's a move I'll ever play again. But I'm not opposed to playing the c3 Sicilian. And I'm even tempted to kind of play the knight c3 Sicilian and see if I can copy Glenn and kind of get more of a feel for that. Although I think honestly my days playing the close Sicilian might be over. I might try it a lot. I mean, there's some variations I want to try out, like the chameleon variation, which is pretty cool. If you want to look that up, it goes basically e4, c5, knight c3, knight c6, knight g to e2, e5, knight d5, knight g e7, knight ec3, with kind of a nice cramping position for white. But the best play, I think it's still equal for black. I know Fischer played a couple games like that against Spassky in the 92 match, and then Nakamura played a game like that in the Grand Pacific Open against the female WIM. She's a French lady. I can't remember her name offhand, unfortunately. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, I'm not opposed to playing the closest Sicilian, but something with d3 and the king's Indian attack. I think there's better ways to set up the king's Indian attack than the move order I chose. So I probably won't choose this move order again. But yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Vivian's play. I thought she played fantastic, and I think this future's bright for her chess. I think she's going to improve a lot in the next year or two, and yeah, I think she's going to be a formidable opponent. I know in the last video I made, I kind of made the comment that I thought she'd be on the winning end of some of our games in the future. So I think my prediction, hopefully it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy or anything, but I think I made that comment just realizing that she's getting a lot stronger. And yeah, so I understand that she's going to be a tough opponent for the future. And, I don't see why there should be any limit on her potential. I think she should be in the mix for state champion someday. I don't want to put pressure on her. I mean, that's a lofty goal, obviously. But, I don't see why it's not. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility by any stretch. So I think she needs to play a little bit more aggressively. I think I played passively and she kind of played passively to get like a safe position. I think in the future, she kind of learns to play more dynamically. I think that would be a major asset to her game. I think playing solidly, she could do that well already, but learning how to play better tactically, I think is something that she'll have to work on and improve in order to get better, which I think she should be able to do. So anyway, yeah, it was a fun game. Hopefully the analysis was good. I say it was actually a little bit better than the first video. I had more familiarity with some of the computer evaluations of the positions, but still kind of frustrating to have to do the video again. Anyway, though, I hope everyone's enjoying. Just wanted to make one last comment that I know my results, maybe I've been suffering a little bit with these new openings, but I really believe this is kind of the best way in the long run to get to my maximum potential, which is basically my current goal. So I think in the long run, I'm going to be happy that I went through this. I went through a small period where I was even playing d4, and I was getting kind of crushed. I got crushed by Juan in the King's Indian defense, and I think I maybe gave up on d4 too quickly. So maybe there'll be some d4 games in my future. So we'll see. Anyway, though, I hope everyone enjoyed the game. And, yeah, hopefully you tune in next week. I really appreciate all the support for the video still. So thanks for watching.